So, I guess it's no surprise that, Foxconn will create an immense demand for housing in the immediate Mount Pleasant area. And it seems like kind of an unsettled question at this point, what that's going to look like. Can you kind of help sort of give us a guide of sort of what to expect from housing in that immediate area?
Sure. I think going forward, the first thing we're going to see is a real strong need for apartments because the average worker for Foxconn, if it's $53,000, they're probably going to be able to afford maybe a $350,000 house. And right now, that's not really realistic for us to build. You're probably looking at $450,000 as a typical benchmark for a new home. So I think apartments are going to be more appropriate, especially as new people move to the area and migrate in. I think they're going to probably want more temporary housing initially until they really figure out where they want to go. So I think that's really the biggest need early on. And then as these workers build up their finances and are able to get larger down payments and deposits, then I think we'll see a little bit more growth in the residential section. We also need to do a lot of work with the municipalities on getting some different zoning and different things so that we can get more affordable housing stock in the area that will fit these workers.
Sure. Now, I guess some of the pressures that are facing Mount Pleasant are pressures that we're seeing statewide, correct? I guess there's been some concern, over our housing stock and whether or not we're, meeting the needs of people. I mean, what do you see as some of the challenges the market's facing, and kind of what could kind of relieve some of those?
So one of the major challenges with housing right now is just affordability, and especially when we talk about something like Foxconn, it's workforce housing. So we have a lot of factors that are making housing unaffordable. One of them is labor. We have a labor shortage. We're at 2.8% unemployment. A lot of our trades have left the industry, so that's a big issue for us. And so, trying to get a whole generation of kids that have grown up on smartphones and with technology to get them to actually want to work outside and say, I built this, I made this. We have a kind of a paradigm shift that we need to have happen here for that. So labor's one. Land, obviously, in the area is a big issue. There's not a lot of ready-made lots sitting on the market right now that we can build houses on. So we need speedier development cycles. We need municipalities to work with us comprehensively to create new zoning for smaller, more affordable homes, smaller streets, tighter setbacks. So land is a big issue. Lumber, federally, we have the 20% tariff. Cost of materials has went up drastically. We also have the China tariff coming on, which is going to affect quartz countertops, framing nails, those type of things. So materials are going up. We need help federally to hopefully get some fair trade going on and reduce those prices. And then the biggest thing is legislation. So right now, the average cost added to a new home is $84,671 in Wisconsin. That's per National Association of Home Builders study. So we need to continue to work at reducing that at all levels of government. So locals being quicker on their approval process and more flexible. I think statewide we've done some neat things with we've had a couple bills passed recently. So there's the wetlands bill that was passed and the homeowner bill of rights. We need to continue to pass things like that to promote more housing. And then federally, we need to really work on especially the unelected parts of our government like the EPA and OSHA. And when you've got a carpenter working on a home and they've been framing homes for 30 years, you really don't need somebody in an office telling them how to be safe. They know how to be safe. Let's use realistic, smart infield things to promote safety versus somebody with a theory telling us how to build houses safely.
Sure. I guess, have we seen any progress on this? I mean, do you see us kind of approaching a point where sort of labor, rising materials costs, and sort of high land prices kind of come to a fore? I mean, where are we close to that? What do you see as kind of the outlook here?
Well, I think the first thing is awareness, and I'll be the champion of the cause that we need to create more affordable housing, and we need to work all together on that. I think that's the main thing. As far as labor, it's letting kids know, and there's been a lot of grassroots efforts by builders, developers, people throughout, not only in Wisconsin, but in states around us too, of getting in early, kids in middle school, and telling them that, hey, you know what, not everybody has to go to college. If you like working outside, if you like doing things with your hands, you like creating things, get into the trades, because it is an awesome industry. We actually have contractors right now that are hiring kids right out of school, no experience, for $16 an hour. So you can start off right out of high school, $16 an hour as a laborer. You can learn a very valuable skill. You can make a lot of money. You don't have any debt. It's a great industry to get into. It's a lot of fun. There's variety, and you get that pride in saying, I made this myself. So I think that's one of the big areas, is really first tackling labor, and then obviously on the legislative end, we have to just continue to work at providing options for more affordable housing. We got to elect people that are pro-housing and housing friendly. On either side, we need people to promote affordable housing and actually work on it, and that's what we're looking for in our industry.
So I guess what do you expect to come out of sort of the larger Foxconn area in terms of housing in the next year or so? I mean, do you see people making the leap? Do you see apartments being built? What are some obstacles, I suppose, to doing that?
I don't think we're going to see a lot of housing in the next year, just because development takes so long. A typical development will take at least a year to 2 years. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of housing initially. We are seeing an uptick in permits in Kenosha and Racine County. I believe Racine County, they're up almost 50% on building permits, but that's using existing stock of lots. So we have to create that new stock of land and lots, and then build those homes. So, I mean, it takes almost a year just to do a development, and a year to probably get it through. So, I mean, we could be 2 to 3 years out before we start really adding new housing stock. So it's going to be a challenge, and I think we're going to continue to see upward pressure on pricing and rent and everything, just until, supply and demand, right? We have more demand than we have supply right now.